Richard Goodall, the singing janitor, whose voice shook America to its core, has won the hearts of 60 million viewers and captured the $1 million prize on season 19 of America's Got Talent at age 55. He is the first singer in 5 years to win the show. A school custodian who sang to middle schoolers while mopping floors became an overnight sensation, with 42 million YouTube views on a single audition. But behind the infectious smile and powerhouse vocals lies a story not glamorous, but brutal, a tale of devastating loss, decades of invisible labor, a tragic battle with grief after his wife's death from cancer, and a man who almost gave up on his dreams until love and music saved him. This is the heartbreaking truth about Richard Goodall, the everyday hero who proved it's never too late to believe. If Richard Goodall has ever made you believe that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things, hit like his tribute to his perseverance. This is the story of a man who spent 23 years taking out trash and wiping tables, who lost the love of his life to cancer, who sang through the pain until the entire world stopped to listen, and who won it all at 55. When most people think life is over, October 10, 1969, Indianapolis, Indiana, the day Richard Goodall entered the world, marked not by fanfare, but by modest beginnings. Born into a working-class family in the heart of the Midwest, Richard grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana, a small city where dreams were measured not in stardom, but in steady paychecks and keeping the lights on. The beginning was not glamorous, but ordinary. Richard's childhood was defined by one constant companion: music. He would lock himself in his bedroom with his Radio Shack stereo, listening to the Giants, Journey, Survivor, Michael Bolton, Bob Seger. The rock anthems and power ballads became his escape, his therapy, his language when words failed. What few people know is that Richard wasn't raised with privilege or connections. His family didn't have money for voice lessons or professional training, but he had something no amount of money could buy: raw, God-given talent and an obsessive love for singing. As a teenager in the 1980s, Richard would sneak into local karaoke bars, convincing owners to let him perform despite being underage. He wasn't looking for fame. He was looking for a place where he belonged. By the 1990s, Richard was a regular on the karaoke circuit in Terre Haute, belting out classics at dive bars and community events. He joined not one, but two gospel trios, singing at churches across Indiana and Illinois. His voice was undeniable, powerful, emotional, authentic. But paying bills with singing, that was a fantasy. So Richard Goodall made a choice that millions of working-class Americans make every day. He took a stable job with benefits and kept music as a side passion. In 2001, at age 32, Richard became a janitor with the Vigo County School Corporation. The job paid approximately $25,000 to $30,000 per year. Not wealth, but survival. And for 23 years, Richard showed up. He cleaned classrooms. He wiped tables. He took out trash. He unclogged toilets. He was invisible. For more than 2 decades, Richard Goodall worked at elementary and middle schools across Terre Haute. He started at one school, then transferred to another, eventually landing at West Vigo Middle School, just 3 blocks from his home. The students knew him as Mr. Richard, or the singing janitor. He would sing while he worked, not for attention, but because music was oxygen. On Veterans Day, he sang God Bless the USA at graduations. He performed whatever song the kids requested. He joined a local band called Manipause with his friend Tom Greenberg, playing classic rock covers at bars and small venues around Terre Haute. The band had approximately 2,000 followers on Facebook. Small time. Local heroes to a few hundred people. The world saw a janitor. But the truth was different. Richard Goodall was an artist trapped in a custodian's uniform, singing for children who didn't yet understand they were witnessing greatness. Then came 2009. Richard, at age 40, auditioned for America's Got Talent for the first time. He didn't make it past the preliminary rounds. The judges said no. He returned to Terre Haute rejected, humiliated, but not broken. For 13 more years, he kept cleaning schools, kept singing in hallways, kept believing, quietly, that maybe someday someone would hear him. But life had other plans. Devastating plans. By 2020, Richard Goodall had been married to his wife Patty for many years. She was his anchor, his partner, the mother figure to his blended family, which included her children from a previous relationship. They weren't wealthy. They didn't travel the world, but they had each other, and for Richard, that was everything. Then came March 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic shut down the world. Richard's gospel trio performances stopped. Menopause gigs were canceled. The karaoke nights that had been his creative outlet for 30 years vanished overnight. The silence was crushing, but worse was coming. In early 2021, Patty Goodall was diagnosed with cancer. The disease moved quickly, aggressively. Richard watched helplessly as the woman he loved withered before his eyes. On a day in June 2021, Patty Goodall died. Richard was 51 years old and suddenly, devastatingly alone. When you're married for so long and they pass away and you've got that void there, Richard later told the Indianapolis Star, "Your biggest concern is figuring out who you are without them." The grief was paralyzing. Richard stopped singing, stopped performing. The man whose voice had been his identity went silent. For months, he merely existed, going to work, coming home, staring at walls, wondering what the point was anymore. It is heartbreaking when the person who believed in you dies, and you're left questioning if the dream was ever real. But then, a few months after Patty's death, a fellow janitor posted on Facebook about a karaoke night at a local bar. Richard saw the post, and something inside him, maybe Patty's voice, maybe his own survival instinct, whispered, "Go, sing, live." He went, and that night, standing in a dive bar in Terre Haute, Richard Goodall sang again. "Music," he said. Was the bridge again? January 1st, 2022, New Year's Day. A woman named Angie Van Oven followed the Facebook page of the bar where Richard had been performing. She saw a video of him singing and was captivated. She reached out. They started talking. Richard, still raw from Patty's death, was hesitant, but Angie was patient, kind, and believed in him with a ferocity he hadn't experienced since Patty. "The rest," Richard said, "is me and her history." By mid-2022, Richard and Angie were together, and she became his biggest cheerleader. Then came May 2022. At Davis Park Elementary School in Terre Haute, Richard performed "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey for students at a graduation ceremony. A teacher recorded the performance and posted it to TikTok. The video went viral. Over 3 million views. Fox News shared it. ABC News shared it. Journey's official TikTok account shared it. Steve Perry, the legendary former frontman of Journey, commented positively on the video, praising Richard's voice. Then, in September 2023, Howie Mandel, judge on America's Got Talent, saw the video and posted, "He needs to be on AGT." Angie looked at Richard and said, "You're going to audition, and you're going to get a golden buzzer." Richard, a man who had never flown on a plane, who had never been further than Missouri, didn't believe her. But Angie did. And in 2024, at age 54, Richard Goodall boarded a plane to Los Angeles to audition for America's Got Talent. For the second time, the audition aired on May 28, 2024. Richard Goodall, wearing his everyday clothes, looking like exactly what he was, a middle school janitor, walked onto the AGT stage. He was visibly nervous. His hands shook. His voice cracked as he introduced himself to judges Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Sofia Vergara. "I'm a janitor at a middle school," he said. "I've been doing it for 23 years. Then he opened his mouth and sang "Don't Stop Believin'." The judges' jaws dropped. The audience erupted. Simon Cowell called him his hero, and Heidi Klum, with tears in her eyes, slammed the golden buzzer, sending Richard Goodall straight to the live shows. The audition video received over 42 million views on YouTube. Richard Goodall, the invisible janitor from Terre Haute, Indiana, was suddenly the most talked about person in America. August 13, 2024. QUARTERFINALS. Richard sang Michael Bolton's "How Am I Supposed to Live Without You," dedicating it to Angie. The performance was emotional, vulnerable, and perfect. He advanced September 11, 2024. Semifinals. Richard performed Survivor's "Eye of the Tiger," showing range and rockstar energy. He advanced to the finals, September 17, 2024. Finals. Richard sang Journey's Faithfully, the song that had become his and Angie's anthem. Simon Cowell told him, "We all need a hero right now, and you are our hero." Howie Mandel predicted, "I think you just sang yourself $1 million. Then, on September 18, 2024, 6 days before the finale, Richard Goodall and Angie Van Oven were married in Pasadena, California. They became Richard and Angela Van Goodall. The finale of America's Got Talent, Season 19 aired on September 24, 2024. Richard Goodall stood on stage with Neil Schon and members of Journey, performing Don't Stop Believin' one final time. When host Terry Crews announced the winner, Richard's name echoed through the theater. He had won $1 million, the title, America's Heart, at 55 years old, after 23 years of mopping floors, after losing his wife to cancer, after being told no for decades. Richard Goodall had achieved the impossible. At 55, Richard Goodall is living a life he never imagined. His estimated net worth, including the $1 million prize and subsequent opportunities, is approximately $1.5 million as of 2025. He released his debut single, Long Time Coming, on August 29, 2025, and performed it during the Season 20 finale of America's Got Talent on September 24, 2025. He's planning a Las Vegas residency, a dream for any performer. Richard and Angie still live in Terre Haute, but they're planning to buy a double-wide trailer in a senior living community in Florida and retire near the beach. He continues to work part-time at West Vigo Middle School, unwilling to fully leave the students who cheered him on. "I'll work there until I can't anymore," he says. Richard has become a national inspiration, speaking about grief, second chances, and believing in yourself when no one else does. At 55, Richard Goodall stands as proof that your past doesn't define your future, that loss doesn't mean the end, and that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. From Indianapolis to Terre Haute to the America's Got Talent stage, from widower's grief to newfound love, from invisible janitor to America's hero, Richard's journey reminds us that it's never too late. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when Richard Goodall's voice reminded you that perseverance matters, that dreams don't have expiration dates, and that sometimes the most beautiful songs come from the most broken hearts that refuse to stop singing. Richard Goodall, 55, proves legends aren't born, they're forged through decades of believing. Even when the world can't see you yet,